Only minimal damage there.
What does this home mean to you?
Well, I'm 25. This is my life. This was my house. This was my investment in my life.
This is your neighborhood. Not much left.
Nothing left. Destroyed.
Your house?
No, my house was fine. It's just the roof's leaking, but we're moving because of the kids. We're going to take them away to their grandparents. It's devastating. Look, cars, trees.
When you first came here, what did you think of this neighborhood?
It's great. I loved it. I've been here 7 years, so ever since the house was built. It's a great place to live.
Never dreamed anything like this could happen.
No, not yet, no. Didn't think it would happen.
Your neighbor's pretty much devastated?
Yeah, look at her. Her roof caved in. He's not even home. Wait until he gets there. He's on vacation in Fort Myers. He called me today. He don't have nothing left.
It's heartbreaking seeing all this.
It really is. We've had some questions about insurance. Let me explain this to you. The insurance companies, when they see something like this coming on, Jerry, they know what to do. They do this not only for hurricanes, but tornadoes, earthquakes, all this.
What should we be doing? Should people be taking pictures?
Definitely be taking pictures of the damage outside. If you're going to go through and put down some roof tiles, you still, even if you think it's minimal, still take some pictures
and before
of that.
we saw a gentleman up on his roof
take
hammering.
Pictures before you start anything
before
back.
You start
exactly.
Your repairs.
Preferably what you'd like to have is the pictures before and then after the hurricane. But if that's not possible, take them after the hurricane. But adjusters, claim representatives, all these people are on their way down for, you know, regardless of who your insurance company is. Just like with Hugo, these people are there for months. I mean, they literally are a traveling group that like go into these disaster areas, set up shop, and start working with people immediately. So, you know, you will be able to start contacting, I think as we start to get through today, we're going to start getting more information about where people can contact this. For today, we're just trying to get through today right now.
Well, you know, for 30 years we've been watching this happen to other people, and now it's happening to us. And that one family that we just saw, that's happening to...
Oh, thousands, if not...
Thousands and thousands of people.
And across Dayton, Broward County.
And I guess you can't stress enough that we need to all chip in and help one another.
Definitely.
If, you know, if you got to help your neighbor, because everybody's in the same boat.
Especially because we don't want you going anywhere tonight, and there's a curfew. And if, you know, your house isn't that badly damaged and somebody down the street has got a tree through their front door, go down and give them a hand.
Right.
You know, at least let them get somewhat of a decent night's sleep.
And we really don't have, it's 2:30 now, and there's a 7 o'clock curfew. So you really, if you have some cleaning up to do, you know, around your house or in your neighborhood, you need to do it now, because I really believe that police are going to enforce this curfew. It's just not safe to be out at night, and we already had reports of looting.
We have had that.
At Cutler Ridge Mall, and so you need to be with your belongings to protect them.
Yeah.
And aside from the curfews, there's going to be plenty of areas that are just totally restricted to people at all.
Exactly.
In downtown Miami and Coconut Grove, we got a report just a short time ago. The Miami Police Department is urging people who don't live in or have a business in Coconut Grove or downtown to stay out of those areas. And downtown Miami and Coconut Grove will be perimetered in order to keep people from areas that they don't belong in. And earlier today, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there was a perimeter for everything south of Kendall.
Right.
Is that still in effect?
That's a very good question. Do we know, guys up in the booth, the perimeter for Kendall that Marianne Murciano first told us about from the Dade Emergency Office? Do we know if that perimeter is still up in effect?
Trying to find out right now.
Okay.
A couple of other things that bear repeating. All Larkin General Hospital employees are asked to report to Larkin General Hospital immediately. You are needed. Also, all existing shelters will remain open tonight. There are so many people who won't be able to go home, not only tonight, but probably for at least several nights. Dade County Public Schools will not open for classes until next week.
We're still checking, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we're still trying to check on the Broward school system.
Right, okay. And also there's a request that Dade County Housing and Urban Development residents don't go to North Shore Medical Center unless you have a medical emergency. I was also hearing on a little bit of a brighter note that there were upwards of 40 babies born at Jackson Memorial Hospital. I was there last night, Brian, and it
Not
was
with another baby.
No.
Okay.
I was there last night, I don't know, 10 o'clock or so, and what a sight that was.
How many were named Andrew?
You know, not as many as you might think, because this was not a fun experience. These people don't want to be reminded. A lot of them, anyway. I'm sure there's some, but there were a couple of women that I spoke to who this was a very frightening experience for them. They don't want to be reminded that they went into labor on the night of this devastating hurricane, and they said absolutely they're not naming their child Andrew. But
Probably
anyway,
something in the Z selection.
there was about 275 women there. When I was there last night, and it was just an incredible sight. You know, up and down every hallway, every corner you turned, and I understood that there was, I don't know, about 20 births yesterday, and maybe 20 more overnight and today. And but I understand everything is going well, so
yes,
that's a bit of good news.
That's the best news. We do have the area that Jerry and I were just referring to in South Dade. There it is, the restricted areas. Did we find out if this is still restricted or not? Do we know that?
Yes,
I mean, it is still restricted. Okay. South of Kendall Drive from the Bay to the Monroe County line, west and south.
West and south of what? I wonder.
South of Kendall Drive from the Bay to the Monroe County line, west and south.
Okay, we want to be accurate in what we tell people. Like, for example, south of...
That's what I'm trying to figure out here.
If you're on Western Kendall, in other words, if you're at 137th Avenue in Kendall, is it restricted south of that or only on the east portion? We'll have to find that out, and we'll pass that along to you. Someone's going to make a phone call and check on that for us.
Okay, a reminder, Miami International Airport is closed for today, possibly reopening tomorrow. The only thing coming in are emergency relief flights. Supplies being brought down to those of us here in Dade and Broward County. Again, possibly tomorrow. Roads into the airport closed. If you are an employee and you're called in to go to work, you will need your identification to get in. Otherwise, you will be turned away. And do not go to the airport tomorrow without checking with your carrier to find out if they are going to be opening. And again, Jerry, about President Bush.
President Bush is due in tonight to the Opa-locka Airport at 5 o'clock. He wants to survey the damage here firsthand, and perhaps we'll see more federal help in the cleanup efforts after he sees it for himself.
I have no doubt about that.
As I told you, the traffic on the roads was really horrible because the cleanup crews, the backhoes are all out trying to clear the roads, and that holds up cars for quite some time. Let's go to Metro Traffic's Mitch Grant. Mitch, how's it look out there?
And thanks a lot, Brian and Jerry. Right now we have a report of a collision going southbound on the Turnpike in the Melbourne area, and as you could imagine, that's tying up traffic big time because people who left Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties up to Orlando yesterday are starting to head back, and there's a collision. We don't have official word on how bad that collision is, but we do know that it's a virtual parking lot up in that area, and we'll get back to you a little bit later as soon as we find out more information as people start heading back down. We do have unconfirmed reports now that US 1 to the Keys is now open. This from the Dade, Florida Highway Patrol, and portions of Key Biscayne are completely flooded, so they're going into that area to help out. Access to the beach areas in Dade still shut down. MacArthur, Julia Tuttle. Turnpike is good shape in Broward and Palm Beach at this point. Southbound on the Turnpike still shut down just south of the Snapper Creek because of debris on the roadway, and at the intersection of the Dolphin State Road 836, that is still shut down as well. In Broward County, northbound on US 27 at State Road 84, that intersection is shut down. Trees are down in the roadway. Turning to the beaches in Broward, Fort Lauderdale still closed. Pompano is still closed, reporting that those will reopen at about 8 p.m. this evening. Beach access open now in Hollywood. This from the Hollywood Police reporting back to us. Palm Beach County, the Lake Worth Beach access closed, and the Boynton Inlet closed. And now back to you.
Okay, Mitch, thanks very much. And so the traffic out there is a nightmare. Something to point out, there's... in many places, there's just no road left.
That's very true.
You know, on Lejeune Road, and I'm just certain there must be other roads similar, it's mud.
Oh, exactly.
And as I was driving through, I was extremely nervous that I was going to get stuck. I don't have a four-wheel drive, you know, I'm driving in my station wagon, and there's no road, literally no road.
Exactly.
The muck and the mud is this thick, and my husband chaperoned me, sort of, he was driving in front of me, just to get me out to US 1 to
Right.
be sure I didn't get stuck. And he stopped the car and got out and told me, don't stop when you're driving through this area. And so, you know, I went pretty quick. You know, it's scary.
Oh,
it's
scary.
So you don't want to be on those roads if you don't have to be. In many cases, there are no roads.
Right.
When those trees get uprooted, they bring a lot of the earth with them, and there's no road left. There's muck this thick on some of the roads, and probably even more so.
And we just don't want we don't want people on the road. It's that simple. There's no reason to be on the road tonight. Well, we're going to come under a curfew at 7 o'clock tonight. There's nothing you can do. What you'll probably be doing most of is getting in the way of the crews trying to bring services back to you and get in to help you.
Brian, if I can interrupt for a minute, we just heard for the first time, you and I anyway, about how flooded Key Biscayne was.
Okay.
And now we're getting reports from police that Key Biscayne will be closed off for at least 2 days. Nobody will be allowed onto Key Biscayne. It is a mess there. There is debris everywhere. You can hardly walk, much less drive. So Key Biscayne will be totally restricted for the next 2 days. I'm not even sure. I don't think they're even allowing residents over there. I think they're not allowing nobody. No residents, nobody, I'm being told, is going to be allowed on Key Biscayne for at least 2 days.
Okay, let's go over a couple other things we've got for you. The Metro-Dade Building and Zoning Department has mobilized 11 survey teams, and they're out covering the entire county even as we speak. Now, these teams are checking for structures to be deemed unsafe and life-threatening. And if you believe a structure in your neighborhood is unsafe, you should report it. The number to call, 596-8788. And that's going to be going on for quite some time. There's the number again, 596-8788. That is to report an unsafe structure in Dade County.
Another area where there is an extreme, a lot of damage is Miami Beach, and I think we just got some tape in that we can show you of what Miami Beach is looking like this afternoon.
Okay.
We have some videotape to go to of Miami Beach. No?
I'm not hearing anything. Are you?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
If we get it.
Okay, here we go, right here.
Okay.
Miami Beach damage.
But at this point, you're turning away people from the beach?
Yeah, it appears that Miami Beach is also closed to all traffic. I'm not sure. If you live there, are you going to be allowed to go to Miami Beach? Someone upstairs, no? Okay, Ned Smith's here, who lives on Key Biscayne, who's just off Key Biscayne. Okay, Ned's telling me that just like Key Biscayne, you're not being allowed on Miami Beach either, whether you live there or not. Some of this damage is just incredible. You can see along here. This looks like, is this Ocean Drive?
That is Ocean Drive as we come down. I think
it actually doesn't look, I don't know when this video was taken, but...
I think this was at dawn this morning, but you can still see the Atlantic really rough and churning out there this morning.
This was at dawn this morning, Brian.
Okay. I've just been informed that...
oh, goodness. What is that, a big truck that...
Yeah, it's like a jitney, one of the buses that goes around
We're
right
seeing
in the
a
back
lot
of
of
it. Looks
this.
like a Toyota, down trees.
Andrew, you know, just picked up cars and threw them around in the air. Would have been an incredible sight to see.
Okay, some people out there
who
see what it's like to
obviously
be
went
standing
out
in a
first thing
hurricane.
this morning. Well, when it was safe, we went outside this morning just briefly. We kind of inched out of our front door when the winds were about 40 miles an hour. We felt it was safe enough to go outside, just about what it was here this morning. There's a lot of down traffic lights too, so you got to be really careful when you're walking or driving along because there's just broken glass everywhere.
Okay, that's Ocean and 10th. So that's the old Tropics right there on the right side. Then you come on down to the Booking Cafe and the News Cafe and the restaurants there that line Ocean Drive.
How do you know South Beach so well?
You know what? I was there once as a child.
Yes.
That's how I know
But
so
you're
much.
never there on a Friday or Saturday night.
No, I think Jose Diaz-Balart and I went there one time.
You know, this was at dawn this morning, and it was raining quite a bit. What's it right now? Is the rain
that's
pretty much?
Penrod's right there.
Is the rain pretty much subsided, Brian?
Let's go ahead and pop up the Clearview radar right now and show you what we're doing as far as the rain goes. There you see it. Finally, folks, we are finally breaking out of the rain. A few more showers offshore. They'll move through, but the good news is it looks like most of this is over. Winds are down now.
Well, Andrew's over, Brian, but can we expect you see any other kind of weather out there that's going to, bring us any more rain or anything that it's going to make it more difficult for cleanup and things like that? Or
no, we're going to talk about some scattered showers.
We're expecting some clear
we're
weather
talking
now?
about some scattered showers tonight. then a couple of scattered showers and some thunderstorms tomorrow. It's going to be beautiful tonight and tomorrow. Okay.
It's going to be nice today and tomorrow.
It's going to be gorgeous tonight and tomorrow. It'll be like almost as if Andrew never happened weather-wise. I've just been told that we do have Sky 4 up right now. We're trying to get a picture out of Sky 4. Do we know where Sky 4 is roughly located so I can get an idea? And Jerry, okay, we don't know, but I know that they've been trying to get a signal in and out of Sky 4 for us.
Anyway, once again, to repeat, we were just showing pictures of South Beach.
Right.
And there's cars on top of one another, trees down, just like everywhere. But some of those coastal areas, Miami Beach, Key Biscayne, you're not going to be allowed in those areas for at least 2 days, whether you live there or not. So if you're staying at a neighbor's house, or if you're staying at a friend's or a relative's house out west where you evacuated from, don't bother getting in your car, trying to go home and survey the damage. You're going to be turned around at the bridge. You're not going to be allowed on Key Biscayne or Miami Beach, and you're just going to clog up the roads even more if you try. There's no way they're going to let you in to see your home. It's not safe to go on Key Biscayne. It's not safe to go on Miami Beach either.
Exactly. What are we going to do next?
Where is Andrew now?
Andrew, right now, let's pull out the latest advisory here.
And is he still as strong as he was when he hit here?
138-mile-per-hour winds when Andrew came on shore here. Right now, 2 degrees higher, in at 140 miles per hour. Andrew, still a major hurricane. Currently, we are looking at... wait, let's go back to the advisory here. This is the advisory from earlier today. I want to give you the latest advisory so we can keep you absolutely
While you're
posted.
looking for that, maybe I can ask the folks upstairs in the control room. We showed some pictures of Kendall earlier, just a few pictures. I wonder if there's any additional pictures we can show, or we can re-cue that tape so we can show people some of the damage in Kendall, which was one of the areas hardest hit. Maybe we can, no?
Okay.
Right now. Oh, they're looking for it. Okay.
I've got the coordinates now while they look for it. It's called buying time.
Right.
Right now, the latitude of Andrew, 25.7 degrees north, longitude 83.1 west. That puts about 85 miles west-southwest of Naples, Florida. Winds are at 140 miles per hour, moving toward the west at 18 miles per hour. A gradual turn toward the west-northwest is expected a little bit later on tonight. So Andrew is still a Category 4 hurricane. Don't be fooled and just ignore me ripping this, but I'm digging through too much paper here.
Okay, we have some pictures we can show you of... we're going to look at some pictures in Coral Gables going down US 1. And for you folks that are listening to us on the Y100 simulcast, we'll tell you what we're showing. And first of all, we saw some of the dishes on top of the National Hurricane Center blown off.
Right now, that's the Marriott right there at Dadeland Mall.
And
windows out of it.
windows smashed into the Marriott Hotel. Burdines at Dadeland. The sign on the top of the building is totally folded and crushed, and the metal is all folded and crushed. Don't know what damage was done to the stores. Where is this, Brian?
This, I believe, that may be the outside entrance.
Go a little faster.
Is it to Dadeland?
Oh, that's the Kmart on US 1.
Okay, Kmart, right. And there is debris everywhere. It looks like here the plywood that was possibly used to board up all the windows is now cluttering and littering the streets.
There you see a sign just bent.
The sign that once had the name Kmart is in the middle of... There's Bloomingdale's down by the falls, and that place looks devastated. Looks like major structural damage to the falls. What is this that we're looking at here? Just this looks like, I'm not sure, but this looks like it might be
Is that the Samurai Restaurant?
Samurai Restaurant across the
Right
street,
there
and
from the
it
falls?
is basically gone.
Exactly.
I mean, the roof is off, the walls look like they're caved in.
Yes.
And we saw a lot of structural damage further south because in the Gables area, as I said before, power lines are down. You know, oak trees that are 6 feet in diameter around the trunk are blocking roads, but that's it. Power lines and traffic lights and trees. I'm sure there's some structural damage, but not as much as further south.
No.
And why is that? Were the winds stronger there? I mean, I heard some people talking about they boarded up their windows. And the boards and the windows blew out. I heard a woman describing this morning that she had a hurricane in her house.
Right. The thing was with Andrew, the strongest end of Andrew was the northeastern corner, or actually the northwestern corner as it came across. So what happened was The big thing we were worrying about and watching was where the eye was coming in at, because that would determine the placement of the strongest winds.
Right.
And the eye just kept
the top spin, right?
Right. And the eye just kept wobbling, and it just kind of wobbled its way down right over Turkey Point in Homestead is where it came on. So everything about 10 to 15 miles to the north of that caught the full brunt. So you had the Gables, and then South Miami, and then Kendall, and then from what we understand, most, if not everything, in Homestead, some type of structural damage.
Well, if you haven't been out this morning, and we're advising you not to go out if you don't need to, we can tell you that this town is unrecognizable. When you drive down the streets, it's like you're driving down dirt trails. Trees that once lined the roads are gone.
Right. It's just, it's inconceivable as to what kind of damage it does.
But I gotta say that based on what we were expecting, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, in terms of fatalities now, we've heard that 8 or 9 people are now confirmed dead.
Oh, it could always have been worse. I mean, that goes without saying. But the thing was, that gave us the jump was we were watching this in the models, because we use these models to decide where things are going to help us with the forecast. Everything kept pointing, and every time the next advisory would come out and plot a new location for where it would be within 72 hours, because we always plot 3 days ahead of time, there wasn't that much variance. So there was all of a sudden some major things going on that were going to lock this storm on a track. And we sat here on Thursday and Friday and started to talk about what we were going to do, because most of us knew most likely Florida to Georgia to possibly South Carolina, that we'd already been narrowed down to that kind of an area because you gave yourself the variance.
Right.
But as each 6 hours came, you know, a little slower, we kept shrinking the area a little bit more, and at least we had the jump in the lead time. If
Brian,
we didn't have that, it could have been a lot worse.
Of course, we have crews all over South Florida,
Yes.
and as quick as we can get the pictures in, we'll tell you about them. But I guess the best way we can find out about the damage out there is from you. And we have a phone number that you can call, and you can call us live and tell us firsthand eyewitness accounts of the damage that you're seeing. So we have a phone number, and if you have a cell phone or if you have a phone that's working, please call us right now. We'll take your calls on the air at 789-4362. Once again, that number is 789-4362. And the only way, you're our eyes and ears out there, folks. So whatever you can tell us, we can pass along to viewers.
Our crews,
right.
viewers, because our crews have been out, but
And of course, FPNL and, you know, all the official agencies are listening to us. So if you have problems, then we can get the word out on that if you'll call us, and we can get a much better picture of what South Florida is looking like and what's going on if you'll call us and tell us what's going on in your neighborhood.
Exactly, because we've got every crew we can find. I mean, you know, people who don't normally report for us have been recruited. Plus, we have the NBC crews here with us. But still, we can't be every place. I mean, I think we're just, you know, tipping maybe 10 to 15% of what we've seen so far.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, and there's a lot more. That's why we're waiting to find out about Sky 4, if we're going to get a signal, or if we're going to have them fly tape back, or where they're at, and the dynamics involved on getting a live shot or else getting some tape fed back so we can see some aerials, because I have not seen aerials when Joaquin Avignon was up. He did not, there was no tape facility on board that I know of.
And
so
also, I don't
looking
think we've
for
seen
aerials.
any tape from Homestead yet, which I understand could be the hardest hit area.
I'm almost positive.
I heard a
Homestead
gentleman on the radio
is
this
the
morning
hardest hit
saying
area.
that 90% of the buildings suffered severe structural damage there.
Homestead is just unbelievable.
So,
right now.
you know, we're going to be cleaning up for a long time. But hopefully the president is coming in. President Bush is coming into Opelika Airport tonight at 5 o'clock. He wants to survey firsthand the damage. Now, where Andrew is headed now, is it heading to another area where they can expect, you know, a populated area where they can expect anything like we've seen?
Sure. Here, let me give you a couple of the major cities that we're already putting probabilities up for Andrew as he makes his way through the Gulf right now. As New Orleans is included in the latest track of where we're...
That's a pretty typical course, isn't it?
Oh, it's
from
a
here
very
to there.
typical course from here to there. But this, I don't want to sound alarmist, but this could be unprecedented if a city like New Orleans were to take any type of a hit from Andrew like we did, because that would be two very major populous bases to be hit by the, not only, two different hurricanes, but the same hurricane in just a matter of 3 days, maybe 4 days, if that. Let's see here, Gulfport, Mississippi is in there, Panama City, Florida, Apalachicola, Florida, Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans, Louisiana. There are a few more on here as far as Texas goes. Well, I don't have those with me, but Texas is included back down, I think, just south of the Houston area.
Okay.
In there, so we're talking about another broad area.
Right, but which place is it headed for right now? What city is Andrew headed for right now? Do you know that?
No, it's way too soon because it has just come off, the coast of Florida and is just trying to meander its way right now and figure out.
So you don't know which direction it's going, because we knew it seemed for a couple days that it was heading right for us. You don't have that information yet.
It's going to take a west-northwest, a little bit of west-northwest track here in the next 24 hours or so. We're going to have to see if it intensifies, what's going on inside. We're waiting to see about the latest reconnaissance flight. We should have a better handle here coming up maybe in an hour or so on some more detailed information.
Let me give that number one more time, our number for you to call to tell us what you're seeing in your neighborhood. It's 789-4362. That's 789-4362. Let's leave that number up for a minute. If anyone doesn't have a pencil in hand, they can copy it down. We need to hear from you. We need to know what's happening in your neighborhood so we can help dispatch the proper authorities to help you out, because we're trying to get to as many places as we can, and I know that all of the state agencies and local and federal agencies are trying too, but again, they can only be in so many places, and I know a lot of phone lines are down, but if you have a cell phone or something else a lot of people have is car phones, and if you can't get out on your cell phone, sometimes there's a better signal if you get into your car and you try and call from there. And I know that I was calling in on my cell phone last night to hear, and if you don't get through the first time, just keep trying, because I got out like 1 on every 20 tries. So if you move 3 feet to the left, you might be able to get out. Don't be discouraged. If you want to call not only us, but if you need to call a family member or a relative, you can get through if you keep trying on those cell phones. We have a phone call right now from Lance from South Beach. Lance, can you hear us?
Yeah, sure can.
What are you seeing in your area right now?
Well, the major damage out in the South Beach area seems to be a lot of trees down, and they're causing some of the damage in the area. Not a lot of structural damage to the buildings. A couple wires are down. Almost every street light is down and out.
What about flooding, Lance?
There was a little bit of beach erosion you could see around Ocean Drive and 5th Street, but there's no still water in any of the areas on South Beach. But you could see some significant beach erosion where the water did come over.
Are you on South? You're on South. You're calling us from South Beach right now.
Right.
And you're aware, I'm sure, if you're listening to us, that the police say that
you're not supposed to be there, Lance.
They don't want anyone on Miami Beach. But of course, they can't force you to evacuate. I guess you feel pretty safe where you're at this point.
Yeah. I was here with a friend, and we stuck it out. My building in particular suffered minor damage. It was a bit scary through the hurricane, through the peak hours, like from say like 3 o'clock on.
What kind of home were you in, and what were you experiencing during the brunt of the storm?
Well, we're in a 2-story apartment building. I'm on the 2nd floor, the northeast corner. We suffered 2 blown-out windows, and that was to a bedroom.
In your house?
In my house. And what we had to do was actually tie the door down because it was wanting to rip out.
Yeah, that was the same with my door, too. Those doors were rattling. I guess it teaches you, and I don't know if this is something you should do. Should you board up your front door? Because I never heard that, Brian. I heard you should, shutter your windows and board up your windows. And from what I experienced, and I was so fearful that the door was just going to bust open. Should you board up the front door?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really should. What you want to try to do is cut off any place that would be vulnerable to an outside influence to put something inside.
Lance, are you still with us? No, I guess he's
guess
gone.
not.
Okay, well, we also have now some new pictures just in from one of our photographers took a drive down Coral Way, which is Southwest 24th Street in Coral Gables. They're right at the entrance to Miracle Mile. It doesn't look too bad right there.
No, not at all.
Actually, though, Brian, I'm not sure because I wasn't tracking the storm with you, but it was the South Gables that really got the brunt of the storm. Did the North Gables get hit as well? Because this is what we're looking at, Coral Gables.
Not as badly. We're talking about South Gables, Gables by the Sea,
right.
Cocoa Plum. I talked to a gentleman this morning.
This actually, it's you may not know it, but the northern part of the Gables and South Gables is really quite a ways apart.
There's quite a difference between these two.
Takes me sometimes 15, 20 minutes to drive from one part of the Gables to the other.
Exactly, and this is all along Coral Way. There you can see all the trees.
Mostly we're looking at vegetation again.
This is
there.
one of my favorite streets, though, to drive in Miami during the summertime.
It's a beautiful
I think
street,
it's so
Coral
neat.
Way, with all those coral rock houses. I wonder, those houses have got to be pretty strong. Those coral rock houses, don't you think? And, you know, I got to tell you, everyone always makes jokes about Coral Gables and how strict they are with their building codes. But you want to know something? If you drive through Coral Gables, you're not seeing a lot of structural damage.
Really?
And you can probably thank City Hall for that because they are so strict with their building codes.
Yeah, there is a difference. I talked to a gentleman this morning on the phone who had a house, notice I said had a house at Cocoa Plum, leveled. So, we have Debbie from Miami Beach. Debbie?
No, North Miami.
North Miami. Debbie, how are you?
I've survived.
Thank goodness.
That's great.
And I was on the 11th floor of a condominium building here in Keystone Point.
Why?
Why? I don't know. Another couple stayed, and I think there was like maybe 20, 25 people here that stayed. And because our bedroom windows are kind of like recessed, and we have a balcony on the penthouse that kind of has a pushback. The only thing I was worried about was the living room windows, but they did kind of take it. But this building, it was rocking and rolling.
Yeah, how did your, what was going on during the brunt of the storm?
It was real, the building actually felt like it was moving. Like
Were your windows shuttered or boarded?
No.
No.
I just taped them just in case something would have hit it, you know.
Right.
I really had no place to go. My parents live on Miami Beach on Biscayne Point, and my brother was there, and he went up west to Miramar, so I really had no other place to go. So kind of like, and then I was listening to Brian Arquest, and by the way, you all did a fantastic job. I had the radio on all night long, and it was the best company I ever had. My husband slept through the whole thing, so you have to know.
Some people did that.
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I'm walking around, but you were the best company I have ever had. And I kind of moved into our bathroom a couple of times, where there's no windows, because of the feeling of this building was like bombs were dropping. That's how the feeling of it. But this building has been here for, I think, about 27 years.
And what about today? What's your building like, and are people there?
Well, some of them have started to come back. Of course, when you live on a high floor, you have to hoof it. So
Exactly.
I guess a lot of people are waiting for the electric to come on. We have no electricity.
That could be quite a while, I would guess.
Right, and my husband did have to go off to work today. And
so you're home alone with no electricity.
With no electricity in the heat. But there was just, I won't say structural damage, but tree damage, a lot of tree damage. We have a lot of trees that came down. And also there was like a little canal that I think when that storm surge came, that overflowed because I see like a different color water in our parking lot. But aside from that, it really almost looks like there was a very bad thunderstorm here.
One question, Debbie. Would you do it again the same way?
I don't know. I mean, possibly yes, possibly no. I was scared. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit it. I was scared. And I think maybe the stupidity part of this whole thing was I have a cat. And I really, I know there were places to put him. I know I heard you can just stick him in the bathroom. But I guess I'm just very sentimental, and I didn't want to leave him alone. Although today he's leaving me alone. He doesn't care what I'm doing. He's traumatized from all of this.
Yeah, we heard that from a lot of people, too. I spoke to a woman in Morningside last night who was staying just because she had 2 dogs that she wanted to stay with. Yeah, I just want to say goodbye.
All right, Debbie. Well, thank you very much, and I would encourage you next time not to do that again.
Okay, and thank you all very much. You were, like I said, it was like having a godsend. You were wonderful.
Okay,
All
so now
right.
we're going to take another look at where Andrew is, rotating chairs here. I'm going to take a break, and Tom Randalls is going to step in. And you, unfortunately, don't get a break. Brian Norcross is
I think
still
Bob
getting
Weaver
some
may be
much-needed
actually
rest.
on his way back in.
Okay.
Because Brian, I think, hopefully, Brian is still asleep.
All right, so give us another update of
no
where
problem.
Andrew is. And
Okay, let's show you what's going on. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
We're going to be seeing you more, I
think so.
know. Let's go ahead and show you the latest as far as radar goes. Just a few light showers around. Look for some more sprinkles, possibly a couple of showers tonight. Let's actually kind of give you a forecast for tonight since we're sort of away from Andrew right now. Look for a low of about 78 degrees. And then for tomorrow, right around 90, 91 degrees, sun and clouds and some afternoon thunderstorms. The weather is going to be a typical South Florida summer day, just as if nothing happened. Let's go ahead and put up the satellite picture of Andrew, and we can give you an idea of what he's doing. There you can see the eye. The eye is defined. Andrew is still at 140 miles per hour, maximum sustained winds. So Andrew is out there doing his own thing. That makes Andrew a Category 4 major hurricane out there. Central pressure right now, 947 millibars. I'm sorry about that. Moving toward the west at around 18 miles per hour. The man is back. He has a tie on. Tom Randalls.
I'm back again. I understand, obviously, you guys have been talking about this all day long, the situation down in South Dade. We understand that we have some video of some looting, apparently, that has been going on down there, and perhaps an interview. Just let's listen in and watch.
Oh. Shotgun shells on the front seat. Check it out. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down.
You are obviously looking at SWAT team members making some arrests. These people, from what we understand, are looting suspects. And this is down in the Homestead area.
I think, Tom, those pictures are dramatic enough to sum up that this is not going to be tolerated whatsoever.
Now, because we do not know, we don't know for sure what we're looking at here. I'm not going to say that the gentleman that we just saw that wearing the tennis shoes is a suspect, because we certainly don't know at this point.
But I think the first 10 seconds of that video with 5 or 6 SWAT officers with shotguns approaching a car is obvious to say that this is not going to be tolerated in South Florida.
You can see the SWAT team members there on patrol in the back of an open pickup truck. Again, it must be a very tense and eerie kind of feeling, even just being there as a reporter or a photographer to capture these scenes. And you look on either side of that car, and you see the damage and the devastation, and it seems incredible.
Right. Also, Tom, that earlier this afternoon, 600 National Guardsmen were deploying here in downtown Miami at the City of Miami Police Department. Another 900 on their way in for, I assume, both Dade and Broward County. The National Guard in full riot gear, flak jackets, M16s, gas masks, riot helmets. They are here to do business and also to assist.
And, you know, and it's so unfortunate, too, because we saw it in the riots in Los Angeles, people being advantageous, taking advantage of a tragic situation for personal gain, and apparently we're having a severe problem with that right here locally as well in the wake of Hurricane Andrew.
I don't know if we're actually having a problem with it, or else if law enforcement has just said, we're not even going to give you the chance, that we're just going to go ahead, we're going to be out there, we're going to put on a show of force so quickly, you're not going to have the chance.
Well, whatever the case may be, obviously they're on the scene right now, and they're out there in force,
and I'm glad they're
making
there.
arrests.
I'm glad they're there. One quick announcement, this just in. Kendall Regional Medical Center is asking all medical personnel to report immediately to the hospital. That is Kendall Regional Medical Center, all medical personnel to report immediately.
Well, let's get back to talking about the looting, and perhaps one of the things that is designed to curb it. We have a graphic to show you, and that is this. It's for the curfew. In Dade County, the curfew is in effect from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We don't know if that's going to change. And here is a phone number. It's a rumor control hotline phone number. It's 596-8735. 596-8735. I want to remind our viewing audience just tuning in that we are going to be efforting some pictures up in the air from Skycam 4 to give you an idea of how massive the destruction and damage is in the southern part of Dade County. We understand that the Kendall area, perhaps Homestead's even hardest hit.
Yeah, can we hang on one second, Tom? I understand we have Mark from the Coast Guard. He's on the phone with us right now. He has just surveyed basically the entire area by plane. Mark, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Mark, your impression, your gut impression over what you have seen.
It's pretty bad. We flew up north to Broward and checked up some things up North Broward area, and it looked pretty good there. You know, Broward County came out pretty well, I thought. You go farther down south, and South Dade, it's pretty devastating. Key Biscayne, you know, it just looks like something came through and just stripped all the trees. The houses are gone. You know, a couple of families we saw were, you know, they're just overwhelmed. Everybody's in shock.
Mark, okay, I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead, please.
Give us an indication about the roads. Can you tell us whether or not you saw a lot of the side streets and so forth?
A lot of the side streets, they're covered. I mean, they're either flooded, especially in the South Miami. They're flooded, or they're just covered with house debris. Automobiles are rolled over, boats. It's bad. I mean, it's real bad. You know, people. Everybody's going, oh, well, what do I do? What do I do? Well, everybody's got it bad. You know, we just need to all stick together and.
Mark, let me ask you this: when you said houses just completely gone, were you referring to Key Biscayne?
We saw a lot of devastation. We saw there were some towers like out at Stiltsville. The towers were gone. There was a couple of towers there in Key Biscayne were gone.
Let me ask you this, Mark: was there anything left of Stiltsville?
There was one or two that hung in there, but pretty much the rest of them were gone.
Mark, I've got one more question for you because we're having a hard time with the Keys right now. Did you guys happen to fly to even as far south as Key Largo in Monroe County?
No, I didn't fly that far south.
Okay, Tom?
Well, also, we want to tell people that President Bush is going to be flying in to survey the damage firsthand. We understand, based on a wire release that I brought out with me just before it came on the air, that according to White House Press Secretary Marlin Fitzwater, the president has already approved disaster funds for Dade, Broward, and Monroe counties, and other areas probably are going to be designated later. But again, President Bush is going to be arriving sometime, my understanding is around 5 o'clock at Opelika Airport, and then he's going to be visiting some of the surrounding areas. So we're going to bring that to you when that happens.
Okay, Tom. Also, what we're efforting right now is the flight with Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay, as he is here to survey the damage. We're efforting pictures and tape out of that flight right. And I was just told Governor Lawton Chiles will be in the plane in front of him. We're working it right now, I've been told. So obviously, no one has had any idea as to what we've come into, Tom, because you and I talked when you first came on with Jose and I. You were in Broward, and I think that you summed it up best as far as Dade and Broward. You said it looked like the tale of two counties.
Certainly did. And you know, before the storm hit, we discussed it last night. We talked about where the eye and that terrible, powerful band of wind and rain right around the eye would slam ashore. We talked about it varying just 1 or 2 degrees, and it's going to make all the difference in the world who got it and who didn't. And that happened last night.
That can always happen, and we could not stress enough that this was the big one. I mean, the headline on, I guess, would be this morning's Herald. Yeah, Monday morning, right there in big letters, the big one. I mean, I think this is the one that unfortunately had to happen to wake up not only South Florida, but hopefully the entire coast.
You know, one of the things I hope that we're going to try to do, we want to encourage you folks in some of the harder hit areas, if you have phone service, to contact us so we can get your comments. In fact, we have a phone call from Gina in Perrine, just as we're talking about it. Gino, are you on the line with us, Gino?
Yes, I am.
Well, what can you tell us? Where are you at? You're in Perrine.
I'm not in Perrine. No, I was wondering about the status of Perrine. I'm calling from Broward, and I have relatives down in Perrine.
Okay, we understand. Now, you stayed with folks up in Broward County. How did you make out?
Well, I'm calling from Lighthouse Point. It was where I live, and everything's fine up here. We stayed up in Deerfield last night, and actually we didn't get any real strong winds. We stayed in an apartment building, and we had shutters up, but the wind wasn't that strong. It didn't howl or anything. It was just sound like a bad thunderstorm or something.
So you've had no contact with anybody in your neighborhood, immediate neighborhood?
Well, yeah, I have. I'm trying to reach my relatives down in Perrine, and I can't get through. All the circuits are busy.
Yeah. Let me ask Brian Allen here, since he's with us. What is your assessment of what to expect down in Perrine?
It's hard to say. I think that as we continue in, that the destruction and what we're seeing so far, just the latest pictures that our crews and the NBC crews have been coming out, that it just gets worse.
And you kept pointing out, you made a very good point. You talked about, people who were in the evacuation zone, and the evacuation zone, of course, was because of the flooding and the storm surge. Just because you weren't in that evacuation zone, obviously, didn't mean you weren't going to be hit, because a lot of people were slammed who were far away from that evacuation zone.
Exactly. When we say that you've got to evacuate for a Category 4 or a Category 5 hurricane, the reason because of that is we're thinking storm surge and also flooding from rainfall. It has nothing to do with the where the hurricane is going to come in at. That is absolutely not true. We just keep backing those areas up and further inland because of what we anticipate as far as storm surge goes, and also what we anticipate as far as rainfall goes. It's strictly for flooding and has nothing to do with where we expect the hurricane to come on shore.
Speaking of the hurricane, last time you checked, it's obviously in the Gulf, and it's heading somewhere perhaps. It may wind up in Louisiana, Alabama, who knows?
If we can just go ahead and get rid of this radar picture right now. That doesn't do us any good. Can I ask a favor of you?
Sure.
Can you go through some of these announcements and give me like 2 minutes to update the latest on here and to check the wires for anything I need to know about? I will be right back.
We will certainly do that. Hurricane hotline update is what I have in front of me here. Residents are asked not to call. Please do not call Metro-Dade's hurricane hotline to report fallen trees and other debris. Obviously, there are a lot of fallen trees and all sorts of debris out there, and officials are working as fast as they can to get that kind of stuff cleared up. The office is aware of the problem and crews are responding. So please don't call Metro-Dade's hurricane hotline to report fallen trees and other debris. Notice to school worksite personnel. All Dade County public school trades and ground personnel, as well as zone mechanics, maintenance administrators, stores and distribution personnel, and garage maintenance workers are to report to their respective maintenance satellites as soon as the all clear has been given. You folks who know and work for those particular groups know what you're going to have to do as soon as the all clear is announced. All special investigative unit personnel should also report to their stations as previously notified. We understand right now we can perhaps get the first look at what's going on up in the air from Sky 4. Rob Pierce, are you with us right now?
Yes, I am. We have Buddy McKay on board the helicopter with us. Also, Linda Shelley from she's the head of the Emergency Operations Department. We're going to look to show you some of the devastation down here at the Dadeland Trailer Park. You can talk with both Buddy McKay and Linda Shelley and ask them questions.
Mr. McKay, I saw the wide shot, the wide view just before our photographer Rob Pierce zoomed in on some of the tops of some of these buildings. What is your initial reaction? When I saw that, I gasped.
Well, we've been gasping also. This is incredible. It has just flattened this area. I had seen the other surrounding areas, and clearly there's been a lot of damage, but this can only be described as total devastation.
How do you make the determination in terms of how much assistance we will need here in South Florida to rebuild? How do you arrive at that?
Well, I've got Linda Shelley with me. She's in charge of the agency that has that responsibility. Linda, perhaps you can answer that.
The federal government and state government will be sending damage assessment teams into the area as early as Wednesday morning.
There's one on fire.
They will be assessing the needs of the communities that have been adversely affected, and assistance will be made available to them as rapidly as possible.
Mr. McKay, looking at the damage and looking at all the homes that are have roofs missing or partially have their roofs ripped off and so forth, I can't help wonder if there aren't a lot of folks, a lot of folks who are injured. Do we have any idea at this point whether or not there are more injuries than we've been able to report this far, or perhaps even fatalities?
I think clearly there are more. We can only hope that there aren't many more. We don't have any definitive knowledge. There are teams going through now trying to assess this.
I haven't been able to see the perimeter of this particular area, but is this secure? Are there National Guardsmen on the perimeter of this?
The National Guard is here in force, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement Director has also flown in with the governor today to make sure that the areas that are adversely affected are secure.
And what about Governor Childs? Where is he?
He is also touring this area. He came out just ahead of us in a military helicopter, and I understand that he is planning to have a press conference and a major statement on what he has seen at around 4 o'clock.
President Bush, as we have made an announcement earlier, is going to be arriving sometime around 5 o'clock this afternoon at Opelika Airport. What is the governor going to tell President Bush?
Well, I think all President Bush has got to do is take a look at this. Nobody will have to tell him anything. This is absolute devastation. If they're going to declare any place in America a disaster, it would have to be this one. There are concrete telephone poles lying on the ground, and there's just nothing but little bitty fragments of what used to be mobile homes.
Yeah, we just want to remind our viewers and perhaps really reiterate to you that we want to stay with you as you make your tour, and we're going to do that if you allow us to. We'd like to stay with you. Also, Rob, can you still hear me?
Yes, Tom, I can. Unfortunately, technically, we're not going to be able to stay with you for the entire tour. What we should do is go to another area and then come back to you live. Technically, we're fighting a big battle up here to stay on the air. And so after we look at this area, we should break away, go to another area, and then come back to you live.
Okay, Rob, do us one last favor. Just give us one last look of this area. And is the devastation as far as you can see with your naked eye?
Yeah, look at it. It's as far as we can see. I mean, there's an area out here that things are looking a little better, but look at this. I mean, the roofs of the houses are gone, and this is a good mile away.
Yes, I'd have to say where you see a house with a roof that's even partly there, it's in pretty good shape.
I mean, look at this. I mean, this alone tells you the strength of the storm. It just whipped this house right apart.
What about rescue personnel? I mean, do you see emergency vehicles in there, ambulances and the like?
Not a lot right here. I'll tell you what, Tom, as I worked my way down to pick up this helicopter, there were a lot of people on the road, needlessly on the road, just to get a look at what's happening. That's slowing down emergency vehicles tremendously because they can't get around. We can't urge enough for you to stay in your homes or stay in the shelter or wherever you're at. Don't go out sightseeing at this point because emergency crews and cleanup crews have got to be able to get around.
Sky 4 is over just south of Tampa Airport at 500 feet.
Rob, Brian Allen, one quick question for you. As a guesstimate, 90% of structures in that area damaged?
I almost have to say close to 100. What about you, Mr. McKay?
I don't believe I can see a single. I don't see a single structure here that doesn't have major damage to it.
Lieutenant Governor McKay, real quickly, any plans to go down toward Monroe County, like Key Largo?
I think Governor Childs has gone down there. What we're doing right now is this and Cutler Ridge Mall and also Homestead.
All right, thank you, Governor McKay. Rob Pierce, anything else, Tom?
Yeah, my last question, obviously, these folks who've lost, many of them who've lost everything they own, are going to be wondering, when am I going to be able to rebuild? How am I going to get the money in my hands to make that happen? Well, what can you tell them?
Linda Shelley is here, and she's the person that definitely knows about that. Let's ask her that question.
There will be offices set up in Dade County to respond to these needs and make low-interest loans available to people to rebuild their homes.
How soon is that going to happen?
The president has already agreed with the governor that a disaster needs to be declared. That has happened today, and relief assistance will be
both ships or just one?
in the next week.
Okay.
All right. One more question, Rob Pierce. I know we're over South Dade, but can you give me like a rough locator aerial as to where we're at?
Let me ask our pilot, Paul, where exactly are we right now? We are just south of 156th Street out west. At this point, we've been drifting, and it's sort of hard to tell our position, but we are south of 156th Street.
All right, Rob Pierce and Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay, thank you very much.
To our next location, we're going to work our way over to the Cutler Ridge Mall, where there's a lot of devastation over there. We'll come back to you live again.
All right, thank you very much, Rob. Tom, I don't know what to say. I mean, we knew the destruction when I've just completely blanked the name of the Dade County manager.
Joaquin Avignon.
Joaquin Avignon said and flew that he did not believe the destruction.
Yeah.
I did not expect, I expected destruction and a lot of it, but I did not expect to see pictures that dramatic.
I didn't either. You might have heard me mention, as soon as I saw the video come up, I just went, I can't believe that.
I had my back to the monitor in the storm center because I was looking at something and I heard that, and I did like one of these real quick ones, and I just stood there and stared in pure disbelief. Again, we knew there was going to be damage. I mean, last night Brian Norcross said that, Bob Weaver said that, I said that. Just judging by what had happened in the Kendall area, and as it worked its way, as the winds increased, but I really do not think, I did not personally, I was not prepared for a sight like that.
Are we getting any reports at all of what Hurricane Andrew did as it, in fact, slid towards the Gulf Coast? Does anybody have that information? Do we know whether or not Andrew has caused the same kind of extensive damage that we just witnessed here on the eastern side of the coast?
I'm sorry, Tom, I missed your question because somebody was...
I was actually talking to the folks upstairs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And, but the answer, I guess, is no. I was just trying to get some idea of whether Andrew did the same kind of damage on the west coast as what we're seeing right here.
I really don't know right now. I would tend to believe not, simply because as the eye came through, it did lose some strength. The storm did lose some strengthening. As far as winds, we've been having problems all day long in the storm center getting information because of some of the winds that we had last night with the hurricane. For the folks that are with us on Y100, let's describe these pictures, Tom. Everywhere you looked, the first opening pictures we saw, there was basically nothing that resembled a home.
Absolutely.
Would you say that?
I would say that's correct. In fact, right now, I understand we have a call from West Kendall. Is it Lester?
Esther.
Esther, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay, what can you tell us?
Well, I just heard somebody came in here and told me that all the neighbors are getting together and moving the trees off the street. Everything was blocked. You couldn't get in and out of here. My brother came this morning and he had to jump the back fence, which there was no back fence. It was gone. But it's pretty devastating. Half the roofs are gone, all the shingles and tiles, and they fell on cars and they messed up cars, and it's really I mean, unbelievable.
How did your property make out?
Oh, mine, we're leaking. I mean, everything's leaking. We thought we were going to lose our roof, but thank God we lost all one half of the shingles, and they're all gone. And of course, all the water's coming through into the interior ceiling, and it's all leaking.
Give us an idea about some of your neighbors. You know, you've been out and you've had a chance
to. Yeah, I've been out to the neighbors, and some of the neighbors have lost their windows, and thank God we didn't lose our windows, and then their roofs withstood and mine didn't. So, they've all had extensive damage, you know, one way or another.
Esther, let me ask you this: how well did you secure your home?
Well, our home, we had a lot of windows, and we really, I mean, there was just so many windows, we didn't even think that we could even board them up. We didn't even have time to board them up, so we just put like a lot of tape on our windows, which I know that doesn't really do much, but you know, we were lucky that didn't come through. But what we did is we have a little. My room has a dressing room, and then inside the past the dressing room, there's a bathroom where we have like a sunken tub, and we had barricaded that with mattresses on top, which we followed your instructions, and that's how we did it with the kids, because it looked like the whole roof was going to cave in.
How about how folks are holding up morale-wise out there?
Well, morale-wise, some people are like really like they're like don't know how they're going to handle this. Some people are just saying, well, the hell with it, let me just go barbecue, you know. But pretty much, you know, my daughter is her 10th birthday, so she's like really depressed because she says, what is she going to do on her birthday? Things like that. But other than that, I think, you know, everybody's like pitching in and trying to see how we're going to get through this.
We are going to take a look at some of the aerial video that we just showed you live a couple of moments ago, and we're going to talk over this. Photographer Rob Pierce took these pictures just a couple of moments ago. And again, if you're one of those lucky people who didn't suffer any damage, or perhaps live up in Broward County or another area that didn't bear the brunt of the storm, count your blessings, folks, because you're looking at pictures that tell the story of what a hurricane can do in graphic detail.
Right there, we're looking at mobile homes. Look at what happens to a mobile home. That is a mobile home park right in that area. That is why we tell people these mobile homes are blown apart. That's the only way to
exactly
describe it.
What it looks like happened.
It looks like somebody leveled them with plastic explosives. This is why you are never in a mobile home during a hurricane. I understand now we have Rob Pierce live over Cutler Ridge Mall. Rob?
Okay, we've moved a little bit now. We're over the Cutler Ridge area where the mall is and several stores. Look at this devastation.
Oh, this is incredible. I mean, it looks like there was a bomb drop.
Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay is with us as well up in Sky 4, assessing the damage with our photographer Rob Pierce. Live pictures over the Cutler Ridge Mall.
There's a truck turned over. And this building has just been blown flat.
Look at that.
Oh, my God.
Do you know what that building was? Any idea what that building was?
It's hard to say. It looks like maybe some type of warehouse structure, large panels, not much. There's some cranes down there. See the cranes?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're right across from Toys R Us.
Exactly. Actually, this is the Toys R Us store, and you can see it's pretty hit too. I believe this is a Home Depot of all things.
How ironic, a Home Depot. Rob, your impressions, were you prepared for this much devastation when you went up?
Absolutely not. I was up through the storm all night last night in downtown in Miami Beach, and I never expected this.
You know,
we're going to move around here over here and look at this.
My God, I can't believe this.
Lieutenant Governor McKay?
Yes.
Your gut feeling right now as you're flying over this area, sir?
This is just absent a war. I can't believe this kind of thing would happen. People have got to see this and realize the tremendous danger of a hurricane of this magnitude.
Lieutenant Governor Tom Randall's here. In light of the fact that you're looking and surveying this damage for firsthand right now, live on our air, wondering if you can tell us whether or not, based on what you've seen thus far, we need to do something on the governmental level, the legislative level, to make people do things to prepare for hurricanes, or to perhaps enact some kind of new laws or new or new kinds of I'm searching for a word here. Incentives is the word to get prepared for a hurricane.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people thinking about this. A lot of it has to do with human nature. People say, well, I got through the last one. I feel sure I can get through the next one. I don't know what kind of law we can pass to make people use good judgment, but if they see these pictures, it's going to help an awful lot. We're looking down right here at another totally destroyed building, and they're in a bay, under 4 feet of water, and upside down.
Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay, this is the strongest hurricane to hit since 1926, and obviously the population base in Dade County, let alone this portion of Dade County, was nothing like this. It is just phenomenal. My question is, have you, while you have been up in the air with Governor Lawton Chiles, have you two communicated yet?
No, but he's been seeing the same thing that I've been seeing, and what I hope is that people, after things calm down, people from Fort Lauderdale and other parts of Dade County and Broward will come here and take a look at this, because this is 10 times as bad as it is in the areas where the storm didn't come directly over.
What about homes in the air? We've seen a lot of businesses. Did the homes fare as well or better than some of these buildings?
Well, it looks like they did a little better. You can see they've lost a lot of their roofing materials, but it looks like structurally they're mostly intact. They look like they did a little better.
Brian Allen, how do you explain that?
It all just depends on where the wind is. You get gusts. I mean, you may have a maximum sustained wind at 125 miles per hour. Then all of a sudden you get a gust that can go to 140, 145. You get that one wind flying through there. Look at this. I mean, this is just amazing. Every picture.
Look at these trees. Look at these trees.
Boy, look at those trees. I wouldn't believe that wind alone could do that, but it is absolute devastation. It popped them off like matchsticks.
Am I seeing correctly? Are some of those trees that normally didn't belong there, that have been picked up and placed on the sides of those homes and in the backs of those homes?
I'm sure that had to be the case, because there's just too many trees to have been directly around the house. You can see, like, trees like that must have been picked up and thrown.
Yes. Lieutenant Governor McKay, what are you and the governor going to be speaking with President Bush about once he gets here this evening?
Well, I hope he'll just fly over this. I don't think we'll have to do any begging. It's quite clear that if there is any such thing as a disaster, this is it. I believe from the quickness of the response that the federal government is going to be here fully cooperative with us.
Do you think that you have an adequate personnel, National Guards people, American Red Cross workers, etc.? Do you have enough people in the hardest hit areas to do the job and to ensure public safety?
I think Linda Shelley ought to answer that. She's in charge of that.
Yes, I think we do. We have been in contact with all the affected law enforcement personnel, and they have told us the numbers that they need. The governor activated the Guard early Sunday so that we'll be ready to deploy them into the needed areas. So we feel confident that we will be able to adequately respond.
Rob Pierce, one question. Can you ask Paul, or do you roughly know the distance between this first site we picked up with you and now this area?
I'm going to have to throw it back to you for a second. We're having a small technical problem. We may lose the picture here for a minute, so if we lose the picture, stay with our audio, and we'll be back in 10 or 15 seconds with the picture.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, that question is a very important question.
It is very
Explain
important.
why.
Well, because we're just trying to get an idea here as to what kind of winds came through this area. Obviously, without a doubt, it was the strongest winds of Andrew. Without a doubt. I would just like to know from my own mind as we look at this, what kind of a spacing area? Are we looking at a 1 mile difference? Are we looking at 10 miles between those 2 points?
I just, you know, again, I shake my head in awe looking at those pictures and the devastation. And you heard me ask Lieutenant Governor McKay, and I believe we have Rob Pierce again. We're going to go back live over the Cutler Ridge area.
Hey, we're back live with you now. We solved our technical problem. Look at this down here. This house, obviously, the structure lost most of its roofing.
Rob, I was asking you, do you know, or does Paul, our pilot, know approximately the mileage distance between the first site you showed us and this site?
I'm being told it's about 3 miles before between the two. Actually, I'm sorry, 10 miles. 10 miles between the first side and this side.
10 miles, all right.
Well, what does that tell us, Brian Allen? I mean, the 10 miles based
You know
on
what?
the...
Let's, Bob Weaver's here right now. Bob, can you come in here on the other side and go ahead and grab a... No, we've got a hard line here for you.
Yeah, I sure do. I smell it strong.
What is that you smell?
We're breaking off right here, so we're going to throw it back to you for a second, and we'll find another site and come back to you.
Okay.
It's a very strong...
Does anybody upstairs, our producer, know what they were talking about just now? The smell, the strong smell?
Okay, thank you very much. We've got Bob Weaver with us here. Bob, you have been here. You've seen many storms through South Florida. We knew there was going to be destruction. That was without a doubt. You've been in here since we've been getting these pictures. Your reaction?
Well, I've seen another storm or two, I can't remember the names offhand, that have done almost the same type of damage, maybe not quite as bad. I remember driving around after one, and you could see the ones, especially the homes that were within the area of evacuation. You could see a lot of them just flattened, a lot of them were flooded out, a lot of them were destroyed. I don't think anybody realizes the power of a hurricane. I think somebody, they had a book out one time about hurricanes, which I read, and it said one hurricane has the equivalent power of 500,000 atomic bombs of the type dropped on Nagasaki. Now, they weren't talking about the overall power. They were talking about if you could harness the power
energy,
of a hurricane, that's what you would have. So they are really extremely powerful mechanisms. And the destruction you see is just what they can do almost anywhere they land with enough force, and especially in the initial thrust. See, the initial thrust is where you get the most of it. After that, it starts to deteriorate.
Okay, hang on a second here. We've got Rob Pierce now over Homestead. Rob?
Yeah, we repositioned a little bit here. We're just a little bit north of Homestead. There's a strong odor in the air.
Okay, I can tell you we've lost the signal, but that strong area, the strong odor in the air, it was apparently natural gas. I understand we have the signal back.
You got a problem back there that's intermittent. It must be a cable or something. You got to fix it because it's not me.
That is the voice of Paul, our pilot, trying to help Rob. It seems like we have a bad camera connection cable on board Sky 4. I know they're efforting as quickly as possible to correct this for us. The gentleman you just saw there in the plaid shirt, that is Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay. Rob, are you back?
Yeah, I think we are. We're having, the wind is really kicking up out here, so it's hard
you can
to,
smell the natural
hold
gas.
signal. As Lieutenant Governor McKay said, it's a strong odor of natural gas.
Okay, Lieutenant Governor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, now you describe a strong odor, and you describe it as one of natural gas. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Obviously, there's something leaking around here somewhere.
And did you see any kind of crews at all on the scene, perhaps from the gas company or people like that working in the area at all? Any activity?
We don't see that. I do see some Natural Guard trucks and some military vehicles, but I don't see any emergency crews like gas maintenance crews.
We certainly hope that the smell is only that, and that there's nothing around to ignite it, because that would be tragic indeed.
Turned upside down on top of other cars.
Look at that.
Just like little toy Hot Wheel cars.
I mean, that almost looks like a pattern, as if they've been whipped around there.
Yeah, definitely. Look at that.
If our signal breaks up at any point, please bear with us, because we're really fighting the winds up here.
That's fine, Rob. We understand that.
Here's the other two military helicopters right behind us.
Okay, I'm looking for them.
Rob, who are in those two military helicopters?
They're right behind us right now. I can't give you a
Coming right
shot
beside
of them
you.
because they're directly behind us.
Right beside you.
Okay, but who are they, Rob? Do we know who's in those helicopters?
Yes, I can tell you that. There's the Secretary of Transportation from the state of Florida, the Secretary of Environmental Regulation, the Secretary of Natural Resources, and we're all down here. Frankly, they're worried about their own buildings, their own equipment, their own people, and they also are trying to help assess what we're all going to have to do to help get in here and get this thing put back together.
Lieutenant Governor, based on, even though this is unprecedented for our area and a major metropolitan area, any indications at all, based on what you've seen, how long it's going to take to put this part of South Florida back together again?
Well, I don't know how long it'll take. This is going to be a massive job. As far as government's part of it, I hope that we get in there right away, and that people, when this is over with, people will feel that we were not part of any delay. But when you look at this, this is absolutely incredible.
Let me bring our helicopter pilot into this now, Paul Barr. Paul, tell us, how much area have we covered in this short tour that we've started?
We've covered approximately about a 20-mile radius from our starting point. And right now, off our right side, we have a military UH-1 that's doing a survey of the area. You can get a picture of that right there. You go.
I'm going to ask Brian Allen and Bob Weaver, 20-mile radius, how does that stack up based on what you guys were telling us about the winds, especially the winds on the northwest side of the hurricane? Was that about the band you expected?
Well, actually, the eye was about 20 miles.
Okay.
And, you know, there's where your most violent portion of the storm is. So we're within, actually, for most cases, the northern section of the storm or the northeastern area, usually the most violent, and the southern section is probably the least. And so a lot of those areas, as the storm came in, got the most violent part of the storm, did the most destruction. Well, we can already see what it's done here. And this destruction, although it's really terrible right here, there is destruction all up and down from Broward County all the way down through a portion of the Keys, but the destruction is just immense, and it is very, very widespread. But the worst area was within that 20-mile range, I'd say, where the eye wall moved everything out of the way.
Let me jump in here and ask Lieutenant Governor McKay a question. When we started out here, did you expect to see this much devastation?
No, I really did not. I don't see how anybody could be prepared to see something like this. I don't believe there's a single tree, as far as I can see, that has emerged undamaged, and most of them are just snapped off like matchsticks.
Linda Shelley, let me ask you, what can you tell these people that are possibly watching us now? What can they do to recover from this? What kind of aid is available?
First and foremost, there will be emergency medical aid available to people who need it, and that is our primary need right now, is to make sure that people who have been injured get medical attention that they need. Obviously, the Dade County Emergency Management and Sheriff's Office will be working with state officers and all sorts of state agency folks to clear out the areas so that there will be free access for those emergency vehicles. I'd like to follow up with something you said earlier. We see a lot of people who apparently are just out on the street to look around, and I can't stress how much importance it is to keep the areas cleared of all unnecessary vehicles so that the emergency vehicles can have access to these areas.
We are trying to line up an interview with Lieutenant Governor Tom Gallagher. I understand he's the... Okay, we don't have it yet, but we're working on that, so we perhaps can bring him into the discussion here of these pictures that we're seeing, these incredible pictures we're seeing over Homestead.
Yes, Tom Gallagher is the insurance commissioner, and I'm sure that he's going to have major concerns, and there's going to have to be a major concerted effort on the part of the insurance industry here. This has got to be one of the, I would think, one of the great losses of our time.
You know, it strikes me looking at these pictures and looking at all of the devastation that we've seen in this 20-mile area. It strikes me that perhaps it's going to take quite a while just to assess the damage. Is that right?
Yes. Oh, I'm sure of that.
Yes, it can take up to several weeks for an accurate assessment to be made, but an assessment will not be completed prior to the time that aid is available. On the insurance issue, the preliminary estimate of the insured risk in Dade County alone was $112 billion, of which it is obvious that there has been several $billion worth of damage.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are at home right now, please hang up the phones if you are trying to call us. We will get to your calls later. It is imperative. We are trying right now to get Insurance Commissioner Tom Gallagher on the phone. We are being flooded with phone calls. We will get to your phone calls later. If you're trying to get to us, please, we will come back. There will be time for questions later, but right now at this point in time, it is imperative that we speak to Insurance Commissioner Tom Gallagher. If you would please cooperate with us, we will open the lines back up later on and answer all your calls. If you are trying to call us, please hang up the phone so that we may speak to Insurance Commissioner Tom Gallagher.
Brian, let me interject here for a second. As you can see, the National Guard is in place here. Let me ask Mr. McKay, how long will they be here? What is their role going to be, and how important is it?
Well, they're here to make sure that we have law and order and that any looting or any unlawful activity is at a minimum, and they're here as long as we need them. There's a plane right there.
Governor McKay, I know that we have 600 National Guardsmen in Dade County right now, another 900 on the way. Seeing all this, are we going to need more? Is this enough?
I think that's being assessed. The General of the National Guard is here, and Governor Childs and all of our law enforcement top officials are down here. We will assess that. And
I don't know, Steve, but just find out who it is, would you?
Our assurance is you'll have what you need.
No, find out who it is, man. This is Paul. Almost got me.
Let me ask you another question. You just want to make sure to confirm for our audience.
Miami's up on 25, I think it's 25-2.
What area are we looking at? Are we still over Homestead right now?
Yeah, we are still over the Homestead area.
Okay, is that good timing, or do you have somebody else? Did we work it out good, or is that we're too late?
Okay, we'll listen to the voice of our pilot right now. That's what you hear every once in a while. He's got to be on the radio so he can maintain air traffic. We do have Insurance Commissioner Tom Gallagher on the phone with us. What's your reaction to what we've been showing you and talking about for the past 15, 20 minutes?
Well, we know there's going to be a lot of claims, and we've been working very closely with the insurance industry to see to it they give the people good service.
Blew the side out.
Are you in front of a television set right now, sir?
Who are you talking to, Tom?
We're speaking to you, Mr. Gallagher.
No, I'm not.
You're not. So have you? What indication do you have of how bad things are?
Well, basically, we've worked with the Office of Civil Emergency Services in Tallahassee, who's kept us up to date on what's happening down there.
Well, perhaps Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay can fill you in briefly on what he's seen, and we'd like to get your reaction to it. Lieutenant Governor?
Tom, there's about a 20-mile area where the eye of the hurricane came across here, where I doubt there's a single undamaged building. I don't see any trees that aren't snapped off and uprooted. The commercial buildings are particularly badly hit. Some of them have been flattened, and we're looking at one where the side, all of the glass is blown out. It looks like a war zone.
Based on what Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay just told you, Mr. Gallagher, how quickly do you think we're going to be able to get funds into this area, to start rebuilding, and to get people back on their feet?
Well, basically what happens is the president, I believe, is about to declare a disaster area there, so he will be helping as far as the state government and local government is concerned. Each individual has to file their own insurance claim. We're working very closely with the insurance industry. This is very similar to the damages that happened in South Carolina with Hugo. And we expect, we have an 800 number that people can call, and I'll give that to you starting tomorrow morning at 8 to have us help them with their insurance problems. That's 800-528-7094. We have been in contact with the insurance companies, agent groups, adjusters, and the major property claims server, who basically represents more than 50 companies. And we're in the process right now of issuing emergency licensure to hundreds of out-of-state adjusters who will be flown in. We expect maybe 1,000 to 1,500 of them will be flown into South Florida to handle the claims for the insurance companies.
Mr. Gallagher, based on what Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay has just told you, does this in any way correlate with what you've been hearing out of Tallahassee?
Yeah, we basically have figured that it was very similar to what happened with Hugo, and that's about the same description that we got on Hugo.
Yeah. What do you tell folks, though, Mr. Gallagher? What do you say to them, since we have you as a mouthpiece, as it were, and you're live on our air right now? What do you tell people, or people who have relatives living in this area who are within earshot of us? What do you say to those folks to make them feel a little better, if you can?
Well, you know, there's nothing that makes you feel real good when you have this kind of a disaster. There's no doubt about that. We do expect that this is the opportunity for the insurance industry to shine and to pay out the claims when they've been collecting the premiums for this long, and we're going to work very closely with those people that have problems to make sure that their claims are taken care of as soon as possible.
Mr. Gallagher, when can we expect you to come down here and take a look at this?
I expect to be down there sometime tomorrow. In the meantime, we're organizing to make sure that the claims agents get down there. They're the most important, because they're the ones that are going to be right on the firing line helping people on individual claims.
Now, after Hugo, people were on site there for months. Any idea yet? You said more than 1,500 on the way down, correct?
I said it could be as many as that.
Okay, it could be as many as that.
We haven't
Thank you.
licensed that. We've only licensed, we're in the process of licensing a few hundred. We expect it to be as many as that.
Okay, I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Look at this, guys, look at this warehouse here. You can just see the metal, the rafters just twisted like they were pixie sticks. Obviously, yeah, let me show you the Holiday Inn here if I can pick it out. You can see this hotel over here just absolutely devastated up to like the 5th or 6th floor here. Hopefully there was nobody taking refuge in those rooms when that storm hit.
Boy, I'll tell you, the other thing that just grabs you when you see this, it's very difficult to believe that people could have been in there and could have not been injured. And I think that shows the importance when somebody tells you you'd better evacuate, the importance of taking it seriously.
And again, though, from my understanding, this was not in the evacuation zone, correct, Brian Allen?
Homestead? No, this was in the evacuation zone.
This part was?
Yes.
Right here?
Basically, yes. Bob?
You know,
There's a
okay.
few people hanging around. You can see, obviously, they're trying to assess the damage and figure out what to do next. Doesn't look like anybody is actually in the room.
Whiskey Mike, helicopter, Sky 4, just over and over the Holiday Inn off the turnpike.
Nobody would be in the rooms now if they had a choice.
No, I don't think so. There's no windows.
I just would like to ask the Lieutenant Governor how they're going to coordinate the different things. In other words, the funds that come from the insurance companies and the funds that come from the federal government.
Very effective administrator, and what he's saying is that the companies are going to come in here. They know they're going to be judged by whether they're quick in getting here, adjusting the claims and writing the checks, and a lot of that is going to be done by the private sector. We'll be doing everything we can to support that, and to the extent there are any problems, he'll jump in on top of it, and so will we. We've got our own agency heads, the governor's agency heads down here, because we're worried about everything from water pollution to getting the electric power back on. And Linda Shelley, who's with me, is worried about making sure the emergency management part of this works effectively. I think thus far we feel good about what government could do. Clearly, there isn't a lot government could do here, but I think the preparedness is shown up in the fact that there aren't more deaths and injuries.
Mr. Gallagher, are you still with us? Oh, okay. We've lost the insurance commissioner, but we thank him for answering some of the questions that we had for him today. Lieutenant Governor, how long are you going to be up in the air surveying the damage?
Well, I'll be here till Rob runs out of gas, I guess.
Actually, what we'd like to do here is we'd like to break away from the zone. Obviously, this is the most devastation, but we'd like to break away at this point and work our way down towards the city, down towards Bayside, show the Lieutenant Governor what happened there, and we'll bring you a live report once we get there.
All right, thank you, Rob Pierce, Lieutenant Governor Buddy McKay. You know, it's hard to describe the feeling you get even watching the pictures that we just watched.
And you know what else, as you realize all that you're looking at, there are many sections to the north and some well to the south who have been watching us for days now and hearing about all the destruction, and they're waking up, and they did wake up with trees down, a little bit of damage here and there, and there was no idea by anyone that the destruction in that particular area was like that. You could go up, for example, and you see these trees toppled over, and you think that's pretty bad until you look at all of this.
You know, Lieutenant Governor made a point a couple of moments ago, and he talked about looking at the damage. If people were inside some of the buildings, you know, he said it's hard to imagine that, you know, more people weren't injured or perhaps killed. The last information that we had is that there have been 8 reported deaths as a result of Hurricane Andrew. And hopefully that number is not going to go higher, but you look at some of the devastation that we just witnessed, and it's hard to imagine that there aren't a lot more people seriously injured or critically injured.
Well, I think... Oh, that doesn't include 4 people that were killed in the Bahamas.
Does not.
Okay, so
Okay,
we're
12
total for
But
Andrew.
what you have to realize is there was one of all this horrible thing and this whole terrible disaster we're talking about, that there was one good thing about it, that the storm continued to move in the same direction. We had our eye on it. People had a longer period of time to actually evacuate than they do from a lot of other storms. And if you noticed, a lot of our streets were not overflowed, they were not overcrowded, and things seemed to go very, very smoothly. And a lot of people who do get hurt or killed, aside from just accidents, are those people who really didn't heed a lot of the message.